Hello, good day, my limitless friends. Welcome back to another session of deep soul growth and spiritual mastery. I did promise to go live about two important topics that I really want to touch on. One is judgment. What you see in others actually reflects in you. And the other is forgiveness. When we forgive people, we forgive for us and not for them. So today's topic is one that we all wrestle with. But when we understand it properly, it can become a gateway to freedom. And that is judgment. Now, you might be thinking judgment is just part of being human, right? Yes. But what if I told you that every judgment you pass isn't about the other person? It's actually all about you. That is spoken in Kabbalah, that is spoken with many individuals in the personal development industry, most of which I follow and take their courses. And I want to bring this to you today. I'll start with the Kabbalist David Ghiyam, if you know him. I personally follow him, love him, adore him. He does so much he gives so much spiritual information that I want to pass it to you. And he says that what triggers you about others is actually a mirror image that reveals your own unfinished inner work. In other words, Tony Robbins says it, your life is a reflection of where you've chosen to focus. Whether you hold in judgment, which owns a piece of your energy. So I want to speak about why do we judge? How can we transform it? And how can this shift our relationship, our energy, and most of all, our destiny? So let's start with the foundation, what judgment really is. So judgment isn't just disapproval of someone or something. In spiritual terms, it's a projection of the part of ourselves that we haven't yet integrated. In Kabbalah, judgment is called din, a constricted energy that actually blocks light. Judgment separates, while compassion actually connects. So when you say, she's so attention seeking, maybe you're actually afraid to be seen. When you say he's lazy, maybe you were taught that rest equals worthless. Anything you judge in other people, it's actually what you are lacking in you. People aren't irritating. They are revealing. So when you judge, you don't define those people. You define yourself. It's a mirror. The world that's being reflected back to you. Judgment actually hurts you mostly. It might feel powerful at the moment when you judge someone, but energetically, it's very costly. When you judge, you cut cords with others. You reduce your capacity to receive blessing. You increase that internal shame and disconnection. What you put out comes back to you multiplied. Judging others send a spiritual message to the universe. This is how I want to be treated too. And as I always tell my kids, don't do unto others what you don't want to be done to you. This mirrors the law of cause and effect, the law of sowing and reaping, and even karma. Wayne Dyer is another spiritual, personal development speaker, inspirational speaker, author. I follow him a lot. He says, judging others defines who you are, not who they are. The more you judge, the more you live in separation. But the more compassion you offer, the more grace follows back to you. So let's pause and think about it. Close your eyes. Think of someone you've judged recently, widely, intensely. Ask yourself, what about them? What is it about them that triggered you? Is this really about them? Or is it something that you're denying, repressing, or longing for in you? What strength or shadow are they reflecting back to you? Think about it for a moment. Any judgment you pass is an eye-opener about something that you may need to discover about what you're lacking. I want you all to repeat silently or loudly. I release the need to judge. I choose compassion, curiosity, and growth. Because in Kabbalah, as I mentioned, this transforms the din, the judgment, into rachamim, which is mercy. You're not denying what happened. You're just expanding your perception beyond your reaction. So how do we shift from judgment to growth? There are 4-step formula that Kabbalah uses, and actually yesterday I was doing Tony Robbins this whole week. That was something they mentioned as well in that seminar. The 4-step formula includes the first one, pause. When there is a situation of judgment, something triggers, something arises, pause for a second. Ask yourself, what is their pain? What is their story? And then ask, what is this triggering in me that I still need the healing? And replace that criticism with curiosity. So in the Kabbalah, those steps are pause, say, what a blessing, and then think, what actually happened? If you don't want to follow the Kabbalah, again, you would pause and just for a minute, try to understand what is in their story that is triggering you. And what is it that you need a healing in? That is how you change criticism to curiosity. So instead of saying he's so arrogant, ask, where am I afraid to own my power? See people through the lenses of their soul potential, not their ego fault. Trade expectations for appreciation. You rise spiritually when you elevate your perception. Judgment and self-judgment are twins. Every judgment of others is ties to how you judge yourself. You judge others for being too much because you were taught to be too small. You criticize others to be weak because you were not allowed to show vulnerability. This is why self-compassion is spiritual power. When you heal your inner filter, you stop misperceiving others. You don't see people as they are. You see them as you are. You filter through past pains, ego, and fear. The soul craves unity. Judgment fragments that unity, and compassion restores that wholeness. So I want to give you 3 spiritual tools to use this week. The first tool, for those of you that journaling, and I'm offering a journaling challenge this month, in the month of May. It's 30 days of journaling, teaching you how to journal. But I want to use journal today for judgment. Every time you judge, write it down. Just write down what it is that you were judging in others. And then say, I wonder what they are going through. That's empathy. I wonder what light they are trying to express. I wonder what fears in this revealing in me. The second thing you can do is reframe your thoughts. When you judge, try to, again, apply empathy and try to find out what's the reason behind it. Because sometimes we don't really know the reason behind what people do, and we're so quick to judge them. And the third thing is to start your morning with a daily mantra. That daily mantra is to say, I see others with clarity. I see myself with love. I choose curiosity over control. I'll repeat it one more time, and if you can write it somewhere, keep it with you and say it daily. Not only that you're fixing your judging of others, but you're also eliminating others judging you. Because what you do to others comes back to you multiplied. That daily mantra is, I see others with clarity. I see myself with love. I choose curiosity over control. This allows you to rewrite your perception. And perception creates your reality. So to close this, I want you to remember that when you judge, you don't define those people you judge. You define yourself. Every soul you meet, there is a reflection there about you. This is your next lesson. This is your next healing. Whatever you hold in judgment becomes your prison. Whenever you forgive and whatever you forgive becomes your freedom. Which actually leads us to my next session, probably sometimes this week, maybe tomorrow or Thursday, and that is forgiveness. Because once you see the mirror, the next step is to let go. Judgment and forgiveness are spiritual twins. One constricts, whereas the other releases. Remember this sacred law. Whatever you do to others, you do to yourself. Whenever you judge yourself. When you forgive, you set yourself free. With that connection, in our adult book club, we're reading this month The 4 Agreement. The 4 Agreement connects to this so well, and if you want to join my May book club, please message me privately. We do 2 meetings a month, and we basically analyze all of that reading. In that book, there is something very specific that I want to connect into forgiveness, into judgment. Be impeccable with your words and don't take anything personally. And that's really two of the 4 agreements of that book. So your challenge this week is to swap judgment for curiosity. Change your criticism to compassion. change your reaction to reflection. Thank you so much for showing up, for being brave enough to look in the mirror, and for doing the work. Your soul is expanding, so keep doing it. Keep going with it. I'll see you soon with forgiveness, which is the highest act of self-love. In the meantime, any questions, comments, I'm here for you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you again soon. Have a great day.